Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for creating time to be part of this great show. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is going to face its first ultimate loyalty test, and Kenyans will soon know whether the IEBC swears its allegiance to the executive arm of the government or the people of Kenya. In a country where all the supposed independent institutions swear their allegiance and dance to the tune of the executive, the IEBC commissioners were bombarded with this very question. And even as they begin their work in office, there is trust deficit between the IEBC and the people of Kenya. And Erastus Ethekon, who is the chair of the IEBC, after being sworn in, he said that he would prove to Kenyans that indeed he swears his allegiance and loyalty to the people of Kenya and not to State House and deep state, as many people would think, because people have seen what happened and what has really transpired over the years, including the late chair of the IEBC, Wafula Chebukati. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 Kenyans have placed a request to the IEBC, and they seek to recall the current Nairobi woman rep, Esther Passaris. The 4 Kenyans are Sharika Wafula, Marvin Mabonga, Dominic Omondi, and Sichei Soet. And currently, the IEBC is in possession of a document that contains a complaint and a submission seeking to recall the Nairobi woman rep. The IEBC is currently reviewing that document to see whether it meets the threshold to recalling a member of parliament. Now, that is where we begin, because this is a document that has been prepared by 4 Kenyans who represent many other Kenyans. But on their way stands the IEBC, because as we will demonstrate, for Passaris to be recalled, Kenyans will participate, members of the county assembly shall participate, but the major role here lies with the IEBC. Now, the Kenyans are saying that Passaris has acted in contravention of the Articles 10, Article 35, 37, 73, 95, and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya. And they also say that Passaris has breached Chapter 6, that of leadership and integrity. And they say that Passaris has continued to undermine peaceful protest and public participation. And this is after Passaris sponsored a bill seeking to regulate how people should demonstrate. And one of the things that the bill seeks to insert is that before you go for demonstrations, you have to seek permission from authorities. The very authorities who do not want us to demonstrate, the very authorities who have continued to kill us, the very authorities who we were told the other day by the IPOA that some of them refused to accept a submission when people want to go for demonstration, because you have to notify the police. And some of them refused. They said, hakuna kitu kama hiyo. So Passaris sponsored a bill seeking to compel you and I, Kenyans who are enjoying the rights to demonstration and picketing, to go and beg the authorities, to go and beg the police, tafadhali tuende tu kwa demonstrations. Kumbuka ni wale tu ambao wanaua watu. Number 2, they say that Passaris has aligned herself to the executive overreach, supporting the executive instead of exercising her autonomy and independence as a member of parliament. They're also saying that Passaris failed to represent Nairobi women against police brutality. We've seen incidences where the police meets women with a lot of brutality, beating them. And Passaris, as a member of parliament and a woman rep in Nairobi, was supposed to speak for them but she has continued to serve the executive, and they're also saying that she has continued to spread malicious or misinformation, and that she has refused to disclose how NGAF funds have been used, this money that is allocated to the women reps. And these four Kenyans say that Passaris has refused to disclose how this money was used, and they cite some incidences of corruption. Now, the IEBC is reviewing whether all this meet the threshold. One of the threshold is you can only recall, because it is in the constitution, you can recall a member of parliament after serving for 2 years. That is one of the thresholds. And that request to recall must not come at the end of the term. For example, you can't say that you want to recall a member of parliament in 2026 or 2027, thereabout. Now, when or if the IEBC verifies and gives this request a green light, then the four Kenyans will begin collecting 750 signatures. I believe Nairobians will give more than 750 signatures. So it's going to be a battlefield, because the IEBC might say that it does not meet the threshold, and that is how it will be. That's what I'm saying, that the ball or the buck stops with the IEBC. Now, if they get the 750 signatures, then they must get at least 15% support from half of the Nairobi wards. You see how difficult it is? Once they get the 750 signatures and 15% in at least half of the Nairobi wards, they will give to the IEBC, and the IEBC, according to the constitution, will verify the signatures, then notify the speaker to recall what we call a recall election within 90 days. Now, when there is a recall election, 50% of the registered voters must turn out, and then if the majority vote yes, then Passaris will be impeached. Now, this is where I have a problem. Do you think Esther Passaris will be impeached? The reason I'm asking this is because, why is Passaris being impeached? Let's begin from what they're saying, that Esther Passaris has undermined peaceful protest and public participation, and they are also saying she's aligning herself to the executive arm of the government. She is working for William Samoei Ruto. William Ruto is the ultimate authority. Every institution has been pocketed: parliament, the courts, DCI and NIS and everything. So William Ruto, or the executive arm of the government, controls everything. So if you want to impeach or recall Esther Passaris because she's aligning herself with the executive, then you know what that means. And this is where the NIS comes to play. We've had an example when the ODM sometimes back began what they called OOKO Kenya. After they had collected, I don't know how many, was it 1 million signatures? It is believed that the NIS infiltrated the process of signing. Wewe unaendea mtu anakuja anasema sisi tunapenda baba, wacha tu sign, and then instead of signing, mara wamechora, unapata mtu amechora gari hapo, and that alone, when it reached the IEBC, the system played their game and they revoked, and they said the signatures do not meet the threshold. So what will happen if the IEBC does not stop this request at the beginning stage? They might say it doesn't meet the threshold, or they will allow it to go through. Then as they collect signatures, you see, once you've collected the signatures, you will give the signatures to the IEBC. So two things will happen. Either people will come and insert signatures, because I think there must be an ID number or something. So the NIS and the IEBC might work to ensure that it doesn't go beyond that stage. the same way it happened to OOKO, Kenya. That's why I'm saying that the major stumbling block is the IEBC. And that is the reason I'm also asserting here that the IEBC must show and prove that they are indeed loyal to Kenyans and not the executive arm of the government. Because now, these 4 Kenyans decided to pit IEBC against William Ruto, because now Esther is working for William Samoei Ruto. Now, you must have realized that things are really changing. Ever since the promulgation of the new constitution, no one has ever tried to recall, or we've never recalled any member of parliament. But Gen Zs have taught Kenyans that this can happen. They are daring, they are brave. So, if Passaris survives, what happens? All the same, we shall have made a statement. Kenyans shall have made a statement that we want to recall you. So what does it portend to Esther Passaris as we go toward 2027? When people have decided or have tried to recall you, and you are saved by the IEBC, what is your fate come 2027? It is the same thing. Some people said Ruto must go. They were killed on the streets, and youths decided, let us retreat. Let us sensitize each other. Let us register as voters so that we meet the authorities in the ballot, because no one will kill us in the ballot. We shall make our voices heard. So Passaris, either way, if she survives, then she will not survive 2027. Number 2, it is a message to other members of parliament that if you play around moving forward, you will be recalled. And if this process fails, Kenya shall have known the loopholes. Like now, we know what the IEBC did with the OOKO, Kenya. They infiltrated, some people infiltrated, gave some fake signatures and drew some pictures, and the IEBC was saying, a picture is not a signature. So this time round, the youths must, those who are presenting this 750 signatures, we must be very careful. And as they take the signatures to the IEBC, they must first verify that hakuna mchoro yoyote hapo. Kenyans are more enlightened, and they are beginning to exercise their rights within the constitution. And I think moving forward, things will not remain the same again. We will not have MPs who want to dance to the tune of the executive like they did in 2024 when they passed the Finance Bill 2024. And that is the bill that took the youth to the streets. That is the bill that resulted into kidnapping and killings of the Gen Zs. Had they been careful, we would have been in this situation where we are. But because of their carelessness, because of being cheap and bought and dancing to the tune of the executive instead of exercising their autonomy and independence, they decided to fail Kenyans. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've also noticed that the ODM is quiet. I don't know whether they are abandoning Passaris or they don't just want to be seen to be interfering with the process of the IEBC, or they don't just want to add more salt to injury, because already there is an enmity between the youths and the ODM. They have accused ODM of abandoning them and betraying them at the 11th hour when they needed Raila and the ODM. And they are saying, to hell, we are charting our own political cause and our own political path. Ladies and gentlemen, my main point is that this is the moment of truth. The IEBC must demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that they are fair and honest before even they begin the by-elections, because that is also going to be another litmus test for them. Whatever will happen beginning with Passaris will tell us whether we can trust the IEBC as we head to 2027. Ethicon must now demonstrate that apart from the verbal assurances that he gave, he's indeed true to his words, that is going to be loyal. I don't know what you think, but this is the moment. Do you support the recall of Esther Passaris, and do you think the Kenyans will succeed beyond the legal, obstacles that are there? Do you think the IEBC will be honest enough to allow the process go through, without interference? Do you think the NIS will sit there and watch? Because Passaris has been defending William Ruto, is sponsoring a bill because Ruto has continued to say that there are people who are planning to topple his government. What exactly will happen? And what do you think is the ODM position? Kindly share with me in the comment section.